Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening for the 9th and 10th grade information night. I am Curtissa Johnson, and I am joined by Tammy Jones. We are both counselors here in the counseling office. We were trying to give a few minutes for people to come on in the meeting so that they wouldn't miss the first part, but it appears that we're going to have people continuing to join in. So we're gonna get started so that we don't run too late into the evening. All right. So first off, let's talk about the counseling department. We know some of you are new to Chattahoochee and are new parents to the school or ninth grade parents. And so we want to make sure you all are familiar with our counseling department and the counselors as they are assigned to our students. You will see here on the right-hand side, that is the picture of us, and you will see our names from left to right. Ms. Chilson has the beginning part of the alphabet. We split our students by last name. She has students whose last names begin A through DAQ. I am Curtissa Johnson. I have the next set of students that are DAR through H. Ms. Turner has the next set, which is I through MAR. And Ms. Blunt has students MAS through SAH. And Ms. Jones has the final part of the alphabet. Let me take a pause for a second. I think there may be something wrong with the screen. Okay, let's try again here. Can I get a thumbs up if you see the picture of the counseling team? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so what's important is that you all know how your students are able to meet with the counselors. We try our best to make it really convenient for students to be able to get in touch with us. They are able to use the QR codes that are located outside of the counseling office. Our faces are listed there. They simply take their phones and they just scan the QR code, and then our appointment times will come up. This feeds directly into our agendas. And so we are able to see on Outlook that there's a student coming to visit us. Once the student makes the appointment, they are immediately given a response, and that response is used as a pass. It says on there that they are to use that as their pass to leave class to come and see us. In addition to the QR codes that are available outside of the counseling office, you will see if you come into the counseling office, there are student aides there to assist the students to be able to do the QR codes inside of the counseling office, as well as going to the counseling webpage, which this is a screenshot from the counseling webpage. These plus signs that are next to our names, if you were to click on those plus signs, it will give you a hyperlink to use to make the appointments directly from there. So students are able to make appointments with us without even coming into the counseling office. It's super convenient. If they have a conflict, they're able to reschedule with no problem. Are you all able to hear me? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to start this meeting off right away with talking about scheduling, because that is the hot topic right now, and that is what's coming up very quickly for us. So we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. We did just meet with the 9th graders and 10th graders today. We met with 9th graders on Tuesday, the 10th graders on Thursday. And so we went over this information. So we want to make sure the parents are aware. And if you have not already received information from our curriculum assistant principal, Ms. Smith, regarding scheduling, that will be coming out soon, but we will go over a lot of that information tonight. Okay, so what's happening for the scheduling process for next year? Teachers have already begun making their recommendations and course placements for next year. They should have spoken to your child about their placement for next year. If for any reason they are unclear about what their placement is, they should be able to go up to their teacher and ask, hey, what did you recommend for me for next year? Current elective teachers, if like, for example, if the student is in health science, that health science teacher would have recommended the next course placement in the health science department. So electives that they are currently in, if they are trying to follow a pathway, that course will be recommended for them. If the student would like to take an online class, they must complete an online contract and submit that contract at the one-to-ones. The contracts are going to be available starting next week. So what's important about this, we are changing this process. Students have always had to get contracts, but they were able to also submit a contract once the school year began. That will no longer be the case. Students must do their contract in the spring while we are doing this registration process for their schedule for next year. They must choose their courses for the entire year. They will not be able to make a change once the school year has begun. So if they do not submit their contract by February 28th, we'll get into the dates in the next slide. They do not submit their contract by February 28th, they will not be able to take an online class. Remember, students are able to have up to 3 online courses in their schedule. Also, world language. We want to make sure that everyone is aware. World language is something not all 9th grade students have. So, and some 10th graders may not have world language on their schedule. If you are intending for your child to go to a 4-year college, you may want to make sure they add world language to their recommendations for next year or the request for next year, because most 4-year colleges will ask for at least 2 years of world language in the same language. Some schools will ask for more than that, but for the majority of the colleges, at least two courses in the same world language are necessary. So it is not required for a kid to have world language to get out of high school, but it is necessary for students to have world language to get into most 4-year colleges. So the scheduling timeline. So these are some of the dates that are associated with our scheduling process for this year. Counselors have started answering questions inside of the cafeteria. We all have lunch duty, so we figure we might as well do double duty. And while we're there for lunch duty, kids can come up and ask us questions about schedules for next year. Most of them have very quick questions, so it's much more efficient for them to come up to us while we are inside of the cafeteria. We have signs listed there, and here are the dates. I'm not going to read them, but you're able to see what days we are going to be inside of the cafeteria so that kids can ask questions, and we will be doing that. We've been doing it all week this week, and we will also do it next week. So also, I'm going to skip down past the 9th and 10th grade parent night because that's what we're doing right now. But dual enrollment information will be given out at the dual enrollment night. That's going to be on February 4th. So that is coming up at 5:30. Please make sure you check your email, because emails were sent out through the Naviance email system to parents as well as students so that you can get the link. So make sure, or you can actually go to our dual enrollment dedicated page. The link is right here, and be able to get the link for the meeting. After the meeting is done, it will be recorded, and so it will be posted on that page afterwards. What's also coming up is one-to-ones. So if your student is a 10th grader, your kid would be familiar with the one-to-ones. If you're a 9th grader, so that you understand what one-to-ones are, those are meetings that we have individually with students. We will go through the English department, and those English classes will come 2 at a time inside of the media center, where the counselors will be in individual breakout rooms, and we will call the students 1 at a time in our caseloads to go over the course requests that are inside of the system. This will be your students' opportunity to make any adjustments to what is in the system. They will be able to see the information in the system starting next week. That will be in Ms. Smith's information that will be sent out, but they will be able to see what's inside of the system, what they've been recommended for, what electives have been recommended for them, and then they will have the information they need to tell us that they want to add something, change something when they get to their one-to-one meetings. Once we get past the one-to-one meetings, which will run from the 10th to the 21st of next month, then we will offer opportunities for parents to sign up with us to do quick 10-minute meetings to go over the schedule. If they want to make adjustments to what's there or they want to ask us some questions, we will send a blast out. Usually we use the Hooch Happenings. We will also send something out in Naviance to make sure that people are able to make appointments. If they want to do a follow-up, you will also have a chance to sign off on your student's selection of courses and what's been recommended for them for next year during that time frame. Once again, the deadline for students to turn in their online contracts is going to be the 28th. Make sure that your student understands this is for the fall and for the spring semesters. We build the entire year at the very beginning. So we will not be making any adjustments to online requests once the school year has begun, and that includes January. So all of that we will be setting up this spring with those online contracts. Okay, so let's talk about what a typical schedule will look like so that if you are a parent of a current 9th grader and you're trying to figure out, so what should be on the schedule, what could be on the schedule, we just kind of gave you some examples of what some typical schedules would look like and what those different selections might be. So if you look here on the far left, this is just a typical on-level college prep course schedule. A student, now we have a name change that's happening. We do have some new English language arts requirements that are going to be changing starting next year. The new title for the course for the 10th grade English class, it is Lit Comp 2. So students that are taking an on-level course load, they will have Lit Comp 2. They may take environmental science. In some cases, depending on what their math is, they may take chemistry. Students may have geometry, world history, and then here where you see it highlighted, this is where their world language would be. So if they're taking Spanish, French, or Latin, a student may have that course there. If the student is not going to take a world language at all, you will see an elective in that place. Then students will have a space to choose, all students will have the space to be able to choose an elective. So that is what a on-level college prep course schedule would look like. Here in the middle, we show the honors selection. So students will take Lit Comp 2 honors. Many of those students will take chemistry honors. Some of those kids will have advanced algebra, or they may have geometry honors, or some of them will be taking the enhanced advanced course. So that will be the math. And then they will take world history. We do not have honors world history, so it would just be world history. Students, once again, if they're taking world language, that would be in that space that's in the gray, or an elective, and then they will have an additional elective. And then the AP choice selection typically will look like this. Students may have AP Lang, and it's usually AP Lang / American Literature. A student may be taking AP Science if eligible. For example, if that student was taking the Accelerated Science Program, otherwise known as ASP, students may be in AP Pre-Cal. We also have students that could be taking AP World History. They may be taking their world language or an elective and then an additional elective. Now, in all instances, students can mix and match, whether they are in an honors class, whether they are in an AP class, or they are in an on-level course. We move students based off their performance. There is no total grouping of courses. This is just a generic setup of what the kids typically take that tend to take honors classes. This is what the honors setup looks like. The kids that tend to take AP classes, this is what AP classes looks like, but it is very possible for kids to be in just one AP or two APs and mixing with honors or mixing with on level. It really is always based off of their performance. So remember, the ones that are in red, these are the core classes. That's what the teachers will be recommending. If you're already in the world language class, that world language teacher will recommend the next course placement. And then if you need to add world language, that is something you will tell us at the one-to-ones so that we can add that course for you. Okay, so let's look at what a typical 11th grade schedule would look like. So on-level college prep schedule would have American literature or 11th grade lit. They would have earth systems, possibly. Some kids may take chemistry. They would have advanced algebra. They may take U.S. history. And then that student would have world language if they have not already completed it, or they would be doing an elective in that space as well as an additional elective. A student that's taking honors may take honors literature. They may take AP Science. Some students will take the advanced algebra honors. Some will have the enhanced advanced algebra and AP Pre-Cal. Some students will take U.S. history or AP U.S. history. So the honors kind of starts mixing a little bit in the junior year. They may be finishing their world language or continuing their world language or taking an elective, and they will have an additional elective. The last set of students, the AP students, oftentimes will have an AP Lane course, or they will be taking their English rather through the dual enrollment program. That's what DE is. Students may take an AP Science if they're eligible. Students may take the advanced algebra, the enhanced advanced algebra with AP Pre-Cal or AP Cal, depending on where they are with their math. Students may take AP U.S. history. Again, continuing their world language or an elective, and then their additional elective. So once again, kids will mix and match. You will see students with one AP, two APs, honors classes, on-level courses. They should be going where their strengths are. They should not just do courses wholesale. It should be based on how well they've been performing and what is a balanced schedule for them. And that is true for both 10th grade and 11th grade. So once again, the teachers have recommended the courses that are in red, which are your core classes, and then the world language should be continuing, or students need to add it when they get to their one-to-one meetings. So transcripts. So we want to make sure that people are familiar with transcripts, what the transcript looks like. This is an example on the right-hand side of a transcript. This is a true student's transcript. We've just blocked out the information so that it could be as realistic as possible for you guys. What is important for you to know is the transcript is the actual permanent record that is sent to colleges. It is sent to programs when it is requested. This is the document that records all of what has been done since the student has begun earning high school credit. You will see the cumulative average there. You'll see the courses taken, grades earned, the actual credit earned will all be recorded on the document. What's important to know about the transcript is it is permanent. Once a grade is completed and it makes it to the transcript, which means we finished the semester, finals have been taken, and then grades have been uploaded. Once they've been, you'll hear us use those words, uploaded. Once the grades have been uploaded to the transcript, that record is final. This is different from middle school, where oftentimes in middle school, they will average the first semester grade with the second semester grade, and then you will get one final grade that shows up on the record. High school in Fulton County, we are by semesters, and so a permanent grade will happen each term that the student is inside of school. We will get into what happens when students don't earn the credit and then they retake a course, what actually happens. But I will tell you just right now that if a kid were to retake a course, both the passing grade and the failing grade would be on the transcript. Like, for example, when a kid goes to summer school, the previous grade is not removed. The previous grade stays there, and the additional summer school course would be recorded. Students are able to see their unofficial transcript now. on Infinite Campus or inside their Infinite Campus portal. You will see it listed under documents. So if at any time you want to take a look at the transcript, that is very possible. We do encourage students to always go in and be checking for errors to see if a grade looks wrong on there. They can talk with their teacher about it. Also, make sure the demographic information that is listed on there is correct, like the spelling of the name, to make sure that that information is correct. Always be tracking the credits, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but it is important to review the transcript each semester to make sure there are no errors. So I want to talk a little bit about the GPA. So you hear us talking about the transcript and what we show on the transcript. I'm going to back up for a second. I want to show you this. What we show on the transcript in this area here, this 85.68, this is the numeric average. This is what we report on our transcripts. In other systems, they will actually report a GPA. You will often hear people talk about GPAs. That is not something we do in Fulton County, but it is important to be familiar with how GPAs work. And so I want to just mention it here. GPAs are important because in many other areas, like for example, if you are applying for a program, they may ask you what your GPA is. When you begin to apply for college, they will ask they will be looking at what your GPA is. The Hope average, which Ms. Jones will talk about a little bit later, works on a GPA. So it's important for you to know how to convert the GPA so that you're not in the dark about what your kid's average is. There are different types of GPAs, so it's important that you get familiar with the different types. So over here on the far right side, I have actually put the GPA cheat sheet that we have on our website, and this is the link to that. When we post it, you'll be able to use that hyperlink to go right to the cheat sheet that we have put together. It will show you the different types of GPAs that are used, whether it's a cumulative average, a core average, which is also known as an academic average. You'll be a weighted average, an unweighted average. So you will be able to use this cheat sheet to read through that information and to understand kind of what your child's GPA calculation would be. Also, we have actually done a full webinar on how the GPA works. And so at the bottom of this page, you will see that there's a YouTube link for you to go in and look at the webinar that we've already created, going through the various types of GPAs and how they work. But I put a little example here for us to kind of just look at to understand GPAs. And I feel like this is important for us to talk about because as your child, your ninth grader has one semester of grades, and so the GPA has already begun. Your 10th grader has 3 semesters of grades. So you'll want to be tracking that GPA. So if we look here just as an example on the left-hand side, this is just a on-level college prep set of courses, no honors credit at all on here. And so we see that if a student had a 91, the typical conversion is all A's get 4 points, all B's get 3 points, C's get 2 points, F's get no points, but they have to be counted. So if we just follow this example here, this student had 1, 2, 3 A's, and they had 1, 2 B's, and 1 C. But if you look at the conversion here, this is a conversion for an academic or core GPA. And we say that because we see here that there's no conversion for orchestra at all. So that is not a core class. So that conversion is not there. So we just looked at those core classes: math, English, science, social studies, world language. So this A here that was a 91 was converted to a 4. The B that was an 88 was converted to a 3. This 95 converted to a 4. The 72 is a C. It converts to a 2. This was a 95. It is not a core class, so it does not count. And then the Spanish grade was an 82, and it was a 3. So when we add up these points here, we get 16. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grades. So we divide 16 by 5, and we get a 3.2. That is how the GPA works. Now, if we scoot over and we're looking in the middle here, this is a student that has a mix of honors and AP classes. So oftentimes you will hear about weighted averages. This GPA conversion here is how Hope does the calculation, and Miss Jones will talk about that a little bit. But this is an example of a reweighted average, how Hope does it. And in many cases, colleges will do it similarly. They may assign their own reweighting over here in the end. So if we start here, looking at the grades here, this student had a 95. We assigned 7 points, so the 7 points are removed. When it is unweighted, it is an 88. The conversion is 3 points. There's no reweighting because this is an honors class, not an AP class. For the Hope average, the honors points are given back for AP classes and dual enrollment classes, not for honors classes. So the final weight then, or the final conversion, is a 3. So if we follow it down for the B, no weight was added on. This is a regular class. So we have a 3 here. This honors class, 7 points taken off, down to an 85. It converts to a 3. No extra weight, so it's a 3. The AP course, here's the change, was a 90. 7 points removed, it's down to an 83. The conversion is a 3, but then weight is given back because it is an AP course of 0.5. So this student's final conversion is a 3.5 for that course. Orchestra is not an academic class, so it does not count in this average, not in this core average. And then the Spanish course is an on-level course, 87. No points are, oh, this is a mistake. It should have been still an 87 because there's no weight on here, but it would still be a 3. Whether it's an 80 or an 87, it's still a 3. And then the final conversion is a 3. If you add this up, this is 15 and a half, and there are 5 grades here. So 15 and a half divided by 5 is a 3.1. So that is how the GPA conversion works. So we just want to give you that example so that you all at home are able to just follow along with how your child's GPA is tracking, because people are constantly wondering whether or not their kid is making good progress for specific colleges. And this is how you're able to kind of track it, since we don't provide that information on the transcript. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about another item that is on the transcript. Before we talked about the grades and the numeric average, let's talk about the credit that is on transcript. So how does credit work? So when grades are final at the end of the semester, so December concluded our first semester or fall semester, those grades will then go on to the transcript, and we will be, looking to see that the student earned a passing grade. So here's our grading scale here. The passing mark is a 70. So you must earn a 70 or higher in order to pass the class. You will see also that students that are in the honors or AP classes or dual enrollment classes, if they have them, those students receive 7 additional points, but you had to get the passing mark in order to get those 7 points. So for each class that a student is in, no matter what the course is, unless it is an ASP course or they were in a class that has embedded credit, those students would receive a half a credit. So if the student is in the middle of the 9th grade, that student should have at least 3 credits. If they brought credit from the middle school, they'll have more than 3 credits. But at the very least, if your credits, the first time you got credit was when you started high school, that student should have at least 3 credits at this point. If the student is a 10th grader, they have already had 2 terms, and now they have finished the 3rd term, they should have at least 9 credits. So it's super important that you go back in and look at the credit count on the transcript to make sure your student is on track for graduation. This is the credit we are expecting. So let's talk about the total number of credits that's needed for graduation. So students must earn a total of 23 credits to graduate from high school. The way that we have the classes structured, students could earn up to 24 credits. If we just talk about the 6 classes they have each year, and there's 4 years, they can earn up to 24 credits. But 23 credits are needed for graduation at least. Students will have specific courses that they are also required to meet in order to earn their diploma. Now, how we track that? Students will find that, or not students, if you were to talk to a counselor, you'll see that either we will pull out one of these paper worksheets and we will track through by checking off their graduation requirements as they work through them, or we will pull up our digital option, which is our academic planner, and then you will see the credit that is listed there, and we will be able to do these drop downs, which will show how credit is being earned. It pulls from the transcript there. So there's two ways. If you wanted to try to track at home, we do have the paper worksheet on our counseling page so that you can track at home, but we will be tracking each student to make sure they are working towards graduation. So promotion. Let's talk about how promotion works. Promotion in high school works purely off credits. So students who are currently freshmen, they have to make sure that they earn at least 5 credits to move to their sophomore year. We will assess credit in August. So that means summer session is included. So in the August timeframe, those students that are currently sophomores, they have to have at least 11 credits to move to their junior year. And then seniors will have to have at least 17 credits to move to their senior year. So if we arrive in August and your student is a current freshman, but they have less than 5 credits, maybe they have 4 credits or 4.5 credits, we will list them again as a freshman. They will have to stay in that designation for the remainder of the year. If they earn the credits to then move to their junior status the following year, we will just skip over the sophomore designation and we will list them as juniors. But we will not move them to sophomore year in the middle of the year. The same is true all the way up to the senior year. So it is super important that the students work to earn the credit that is necessary to be promoted by the time we get to August, where we pull this information and we make the designation for the coming year. So we want to just talk a little bit about some of the things that we see that keep kids from being able to earn the credit that they should be earning along the way. There's just some things that kids learn over time and they become more disciplined, but we really want to empower the parents to kind of assist their kids with getting to it as fast as possible. Some of the things we see that are getting in the way of kids being able to get credit is them not being at school regularly. Being absent means that they have makeup work, they have to make up tests, they miss quizzes. It creates a snowball that makes it very difficult for kids to be able to keep up with the work that's assigned. They already have a good deal of work on a daily basis. So missing something means that now you're behind and you're having to play catch up. So for many kids, it kind of creates a situation where it's hard for them to get back on track. So attendance is super important, that kids are here regularly so that they do not fall behind and do not end up missing instructional material that will help them to be able to do their best work in school. Also, not completing homework and projects. It's super important that kids regularly do the homework. The homework is typically there to reinforce what has been taught inside of the classroom, and it makes it easier for the student to be able to learn the concepts that are being taught by their teachers. It also helps them stay prepared for the upcoming quizzes and the upcoming tests, staying on top of their homework. Also, losing points by turning in late work. Sometimes kids are losing points that are so unnecessary that it hurts their grades. So it's really important that they stay on top of their things and that they are using Canvas so that they can stay on top of their work and turning it in when they should be turning it in and not losing points that will affect their overall grade. Not studying along the way, cramming right before a quiz or right before a test. If they don't begin studying for a test and it's only 1 or 2 days before the test itself, the chances are they're going to run out of time to be able to adequately prepare. So we encourage students to begin to prepare for a test a week in advance. Oftentimes teachers will let them know a week, maybe more than that, when a test is coming, so that students are able to begin reviewing their notes and preparing for a test even before they get the review or the study guide. They are able to do that. So that's something that has gotten in the way for a lot of students. Not seeking additional help from the teacher. Most of our teachers are here early and they're able to help students in their classrooms. We also have the Academic Hub, which is available for all students to come during their lunchtime. They can actually bring their lunch and go to the Academic Hub to get additional help. We have peer tutors that are stationed in there. Our graduation coach, Ms. Shofty, is in there to help assist students, making sure that they get the assistance that they need. So that's something to really talk to your student about, whether or not they're using the resources that are available to them. We also have after-school sessions. Math runs on different days. Each one of the math classes have posters that show the time that they can go and get additional help from a different teacher, possibly after school. So that is available as well. Another thing that comes up is poor time management, not pacing out how long it's going to take you to get an assignment completed, big projects that have been assigned, not using the time that is available to them, not only at school, because they all have an hour, so some of them could use some of that time to do some work, but also when they get home, how much time are they actually spending on the work that has been assigned to them? Are they waiting to the last minute to try to do things? So just not managing their time well to get their work completed. Not taking advantage of recovery. Students can recover summative assignments or major projects. Anything that is in the summative area, they can recover. So if the student did not get or got a poor grade, make sure you are watching that as the parent so that you can ask your kid about recovery. Hey, when are you going to take your recovery? So that you can make sure that they are taking advantage of the opportunity to retake something that is hurting their grade. And then just zeros, just having a zero, they missed an assignment and they just never made it up. So we went over this with the kids in the classroom guidance and showing them. Here's an example over here on the right-hand side with a set of grades and what happens when when 2 zeros are in for this set of 8 grades. Just having these 2 zeros in, even though the kid had 300s, they only had 1 C, had a B and a 95. This kid ended up with a 69 average in this area just from having these zeros. But even if they had just done a little bit of something, still maybe had a failing grade on the stuff that they turned in because maybe they weren't prepared or what have you, and just got a 50, they would end up with an 81. We want to just emphasize the impact of zeros in the grade book. It is so much better for a student to turn in something than to just have the zeros and let there be nothing there and take the poor grade. All right, we'll move off of this and let's talk about what happens if a kid fails a class. So if a student fails a class, what can they do? So the options are for the student to retake the class in the summer. Summer offers face-to-face options for some classes. Fulton Virtual is available. Georgia Virtual is available. Registration usually happens in the first week of March. What I want to tell you about the summer school options online, students, when they are possibly leaving the country, Fulton Virtual will not work as an option. They would have to use Georgia Virtual as their option if they want to take a class during the summer to either make up or if they just want to take a class to get ahead. Georgia Virtual would be something that they can use because of they allow the students to use a VPN. But Fulton Virtual, once it detects that the student is outside of the U.S., it will lock them out of the system and they will not be able to get back in. So Fulton Virtual will not be the option if you will travel outside of the U.S. borders. Credit recovery is another way that students can make up credit if they fail a course. So this is available during the school year. I want to make a correction here. It says only available during the school year. That's not correct. We now are going to be able to allow students to take credit recovery in the summertime as well. And so that's a newer thing that summer allows. Students can do credit recovery fully online. During the school year, we are very selective about students taking credit recovery. They really need to demonstrate to us that they have full control of their grades during the school day before we add the additional class of them doing credit recovery outside of the school day. So it's really important that we have a conversation about whether or not credit recovery is appropriate during the school year. But if they show that they've got everything under control, we will definitely give them a contract so that they can make up that course. It is important to know that credit recovery is not approved by NCAA. So if a student is thinking that they may get a D1 or a D2 scholarship, they will not want to do credit recovery because NCAA will not accept those courses. Another way that kids can get the credit that they lost is we will schedule the course back in the future if there's room. So we do have to be careful about this because once we reschedule a course, that means that's credit that can never be regained. That's lost credit, I should say it that way. That is lost credit. When we do a course in the summertime, it does not take up a space. And so we have to be really careful about when we reschedule something. So that's a conversation that you would have with the counselor. Remember, all attempts for a class are shown on the transcript. So if a student fails a class that they are retaking, that grade will show up as well. So we really want to be careful about how we go about making up courses that are failed. All right, so let's talk about the impact of failing classes on no pass, no play, or let's talk about the rules for being eligible for sports. Students must meet certain eligibility criteria in order to participate in Georgia high school sports at Chattahoochee. Students must be on track for graduation, meaning they are not retained, as I talked about on the promotion slide. So they have made their promotion credit, and the students must have passed 5 out of 6 classes. So the most that they would have been able to fail in that term prior to the sport is 1 course. Students can earn up to 2 credits in the summertime, and that depends on how we set that up. But typically in a face-to-face setting, they're able to do 1 credit. Sometimes we will add an online credit. So it just depends on what the situation is for the student. And then a student who takes classes over the summer, that is added to the spring term. And so even if the student did not pass the 5 out of 6, they can use the summertime to help them with the credit count when the credit is assessed for their eligibility for the fall. So an example would be a student who fails 2 classes in the fall. They are automatically not eligible for the spring. If they are in the spring term and they fail 2 classes, they can go to summer school to try to make up that credit so that they are eligible when they get to school in the fall. All right, so that is it for my portion of the presentation. I am going to turn this over to Ms. Jones, who is going to now talk about dual enrollment.
All right, hello, everyone. Okay, so dual enrollment, what is dual enrollment? Dual enrollment is an opportunity for students to take college classes and get high school and college credit at the same time. You will know about these. We will have a dual enrollment virtual meeting on Tuesday, February 4th. So I highly recommend that you come to that meeting, that virtual meeting. All rising 11th graders are eligible to take any approved dual enrollment courses found in the dual enrollment directory. And you and your student should have received a dual enrollment invite through Naviance, inviting you to the dual enrollment virtual meeting. All interested students should attend this meeting or plan to watch the recording. Your student can sign up now to put their name on the interest form on our dual enrollment website, on the counseling page, or via the email that was sent through Naviance. So make sure if your student is wanting to take dual enrollment next year, that they put their name on the interest form. They can do that right now. Students can take summer, fall, and spring classes through dual enrollment, and all dual enrollment classes must be taken off campus. We do not schedule any dual enrollment classes on campus, so you must have your student must have reliable transportation. Chattahoochee parking passes are awarded by the AP office, not the counseling office. A lot of students think that they are, but the AP office awards those parking passes. So if your student is interested in it, once again, make sure you attend the meeting on the 4th. Okay, next slide, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, okay. All right, every student has a Naviance account. So Naviance is a comprehensive college and career readiness solution for middle and high school students. It helps students explore career options and plan for their future. So they have tabs on Naviance. The top tab is going to be self-discovery, and this is where students can take career assessments that will kind of give them an idea of what kind of careers they might like to do. And then once they get an idea of what that career would be, then there's a career tab on Naviance where they can explore careers with the education, salary. They can explore it through pathways. And then the college tab is where they can explore colleges. There's a super match task that we normally have. There's a college tab where they can choose their 3 favorite colleges. There's just a lot of good resources in Naviance. All right, next, okay. And how every student has a Naviance account, and how they can access it is through their class links, which when they go in and register and put their email, their password and everything into Naviance, and then they can click that Naviance green button, and that's how they can access Naviance. So this is a typical page of a 9th grade. When a 9th grader logs on to Naviance, this is the page they will see. They will see tasks from my school on the right-hand side. And there are 3 tasks that they should be completing. There's the district recommends that 9th graders complete these 9th grade tasks in Naviance. We have the career interest profiler. They are to add 3 careers to their favorites list, and the 9th grade bridge and post-secondary options lesson. They would click on the Go to My Planner at the bottom of those 3 tasks. And then they would see the next box that has all the tasks that they need to complete. They must complete these tasks before they meet us for the one-to-ones. We would really like for them to have this done. We will run a report to make sure that they have these completed. And these are all good things for them to complete. It gives them career ideas, and also helps us help them with different careers. And then the 10th graders, this is what the 10th grade bridge activity looks like when they go in. This is what they're going to see. This is their page when students log in. They will go to the same thing, go to my task, go to my school task, and click the 10th grade bridge and post-secondary options lesson. Once again, these lessons are district mandated, and we will run a report when we see the students for our one-to-one meetings. Okay, at the top of Naviance, there's some, so once again, under self-discovery, these are when they go into their Naviance account, you can see it, they can click on the top and they'll have all these career assessments that they can take that I mentioned earlier. And then under careers, they can explore careers with the education salary. They can explore the pathways, There's also all the military branches are available under that tab, as well as these Road Trip Nation videos where they can view videos of people. I think there's like 12,000 videos of people in the careers that provide wisdom and advice. So it's a good resource for students to start looking into careers and exploring careers. And then we also have upcoming events in March. Every student is going to take the U Science tests, which is a series of like brain game exercises to discover their aptitude, interest, and the careers best suited for them. So that's also going to be coming up for all 10th graders. And we have the ASVAB tests for students interested in the military, which provides career exploration tools for students, regardless, even if they don't want to go into the military. It's a great exploration tool for careers. So be on the lookout for that. That's typically going to be in April. Okay, the Hope and Zell Miller Scholarship. All right, so the Hope and Zell are calculated by the Georgia Student Finance Commission. And for the Hope and Zell, students must have 4 rigorous courses. A rigorous course could be like advanced algebra, it could be AMDM, it could be a world language for the second year. So students typically will have 4 rigorous classes, just taking a standard on-level courses. For the Hope, students must have a 3.0. If you have a 3.0 by the time you graduate, they will pay for a portion of your standard tuition to a Georgia public school. Private school, they're just going to give you a couple of thousand. It's almost like $2,500 per semester or quarter. And students must maintain a 3.0 in college. For the Zell, students must earn a 3.7 and an ACT score of 25 or a SAT score of 1,200. And if they meet all those requirements, then the state will pay for 100% of tuition to a Georgia public school, and for private school, a little bit more than what they would pay for the Hope. And students must maintain a 3.0 in college. And we do have a link there that you can click on, and it can give you more information and details about the Hope and Zell. Every semester, students' grades are uploaded into the Georgia Futures website. Students can create a Georgia Hope Progress GPA account. So they can create that account. And once they're on the Georgia Futures account, there'll be a section that says My Hope GPA. And they can go in and be able to see their Hope GPA every time the grades are uploaded and finalized. So that's a good site. I definitely would recommend that students create their account. So every time grades are uploaded, they will always know what their status is for the Hope and the Zell. Okay, Fulton County cumulative and the Hope GPA. So Fulton County Schools is on a 100-point scale. All grades are included, even middle school grades that receive high school credit. And if you have an honors AP or college class, courses will then get 7 points added to their final grade. This is what we call weighted. Your GPA is a cumulative numeric average. Now, for the Hope and Zell, Ms. Johnson kind of already pointed out that it's Hope and Zell's on a 4.0 scale, and every A equals a 4, every B equals a 3, and every C equals a 2. And for every F is a 0. And the GPA consists of core classes: English, math, science, social studies, and world language. And then there are some electives such as debate, yearbook, AP computer science, to name a few. And the HOPE GPA is reweighted, which means that the 7 points are removed for the honors, AP, and dual enrollment classes. But for the AP and college courses, they will add a 0.5. So that's the example that Ms. Johnson gave you about how, so for example, if I had a AP math class and I made a B, then instead of a 3, which I would get a B, a 3 would be a B, it would be a 3.5. Counselors cannot calculate the HOPE and Zell GPA, but there is a cheat sheet that Ms. Johnson provided so that you can calculate your HOPE GPA on your own. All right, so there are a couple of things now that 9th and 10th graders can now focus on. The main thing that they should definitely focus on is making sure they meet with their counselor and finalizing their schedule. And remember that balance is going to be the key, and you should consider other activities that you're involved in when you're creating your schedule. A lot of students might be in band, sports, and those are things that they really need to think about, because balance, mental health and balance is going to be key for them. Focus on getting good grades, getting involved in school or the community. Extracurricular activities are important and fun. And it's a good part of, it's a fun part of high school. So look at sports groups and clubs that match your interests and then join them. So that's what students should be doing. And maybe get a part-time job for the 10th graders or volunteering your time in the community. Making sure that you track your accomplishments. I would suggest that every parent or student has a Word document with all of their academic and athletic awards, extracurricular accomplishments, and community service, because those will be something that those will be important when they become a senior, and they will be able to remember all those good things that they did during their 4 years for recommendation purposes when they become a senior. And make sure that you take the PSAT as a junior in October and review your results. Those are going to be very important as well. Make sure you're exploring Naviance, U-Science, and ASVAB career interest tests to figure out the careers you would like to excel in and enjoy. And it's never too late to research your options after high school. If it is college, start researching schools, start going and visiting schools, getting more information. If it's the military, make sure you're looking at the branch that you would like to attend. Naviance is a great site for that. College Search, Naviance is a great site for most of the things like college research and everything. And whatever it is, just make sure you're using your resources, Naviance, U-Science, and the ASVAB test. All right. So are there any questions?
We have come to the end of our presentation, and so we want to invite you all to ask questions that we haven't had a chance to answer for you at this point. Let's see. You don't have the mic option, so if you want to put a question in the chat, you are more than welcome to put a question in there and we will answer it live. So the first question is,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to give your voice a break from, or you two a break from talking.
Perfect. This is Ms. Blunt, everyone.
Hi, y'all. If you hear any barking in the background, I apologize. I'm at home. At what grades can you take the SATs and where would you apply? We generally encourage students to take the SAT or ACT spring of junior year. And you would just register on the SAT website, which is collegeboard.org or ACT.org. Next question down is ASL considered a world language? Yes, it is. That is American Sign Language. Person is asking, can you send copies of the slides? Yes, as we've shared before, these slides will be shared and posted on the counseling website within a couple days, along with the presentation. If a student is ahead of their credit goal, do they have to schedule a class for every period, or can they have a study hall? Unfortunately, that's not an option for 9th through 11th graders. Only seniors get the benefit of choosing to do senior course reduction, which is one less course in their senior year if they are at 18 credits or more when their senior year starts. Is there a list of CTAE/elective courses that count towards Hope GPA? It is a very short list. It is basically, I think it's AP Computer Science Principles and AP Comp Sci A. If you'll give me just a second, I can try to find the Hope list, but I believe those are the main two. Let's see.
I
Is
do
it
think
possible
this
to
one.
Okay. Is it possible to participate in dual enrollment while outside of the United States in the summer? I would not advise that. I think that is a very risky option. I don't know, since dual enrollment is done through the college and has nothing to do with us, I mean, we of course guide you through the process and tell you what you need to do to apply and be eligible. But if a student gets into a weird situation, there's nothing that we at the high school are able to help them manage. I would definitely advise against doing anything dual enrollment while you're outside the US, because you don't know until you get to that other country whether you're going to lose access or whether the college limits access. So definitely not do that. If the students are ahead of the credit goal, do they have to schedule a class for okay, I think I just answered. Oh, sorry, there was another different way to say it. If a student plans to take a course during the summer to get ahead, will they need to fill up their schedule with another course during the year? Yes. All students, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, no matter how far ahead or how far behind they are in their credits, every single one of those grades is expected to have 6 classes in their schedule. Only seniors are permitted to have one less. And that is all the questions right now. All the other questions I answered in typing response. For dual enrollment, we are having a dual enrollment information. That the question was, where can students take dual? If the question is specifically asking what colleges do our students take dual enrollment through, that is typically done through either Georgia State University, Gwinnett Tech, or Georgia Tech. If students are, more advanced in math and computer science, we're having a dual enrollment information night next Tuesday night, 5:30 p.m. It was advertised in the last Hooch Happenings email blast, and I know Mrs. Chilson has also sent a Naviance email blast with all that information and the link to join. Please, please, please watch the dual enrollment information meeting next Tuesday night. If you have any questions, it is a very detailed process, and watching that meeting is absolutely important. Couple more questions coming in. Do you have to pay for summer courses? So students who have previously failed a course and need to retake it do not have to pay. Any student who is taking a course through Fulton Virtual or Georgia Virtual to get ahead, every single one of those requires tuition.
Can I add on there?
Go for it, yeah.
If you choose to do Georgia Virtual and you failed a course, you would have to pay for that. Only Fulton
Thank you.
Virtual will you be able to take that course without paying for it.
Thank you much. This is a complicated one, but I think we can handle it. How far into the year can you drop a class without giving a grade? That's not how that works. This is not like college where there's a midpoint and students can choose to withdraw from a course and get a W. That is not how it works in high school. If we're close-ish to the beginning of a semester, maybe up until the 2-week point at the beginning of the school year, any student can request to make a change to their schedule if it's too difficult. Within a couple weeks after that, a teacher can make a recommendation that a student drop a level. So maybe go from 11th Lit Honors to 11th Lit On level, or AP Lang down to an honors class. But there is not a drop. That's not how that works. When will the online class list be available? So I listed it closer to the top of the chat. I put in the websites where you can find Fulton Virtual and Georgia Virtual information, including their course catalogs. Fulton Virtual and Fulton County Summer School information is typically published by the county in early March. So as soon as that information comes out, we will be sending an email blast. And then from that point on, all of the information and registration directions, including links to the course lists, that will be included in the biweekly Hooch Happenings email blast. Okay, that question has been asked a couple times. Let's see. Are grades changeable after the semester is over? For instance, the teacher was supposed to grade an assignment, but then did not grade it. The recourse for that, I would recommend that you reach out to that teacher and try to resolve it that way. If if in the investigation of that, it is determined by administration that a grade is warranted to be changed, there is a process for that. But generally after the semester is over, it's not like, oh, a kid can go back and just do work that they missed type thing. Let's see. Yes, the dual enrollment meeting will be recorded and available on the Chattahoochee Counseling website. Every meeting that we ever do on Teams is always recorded, and the recording and the PDF of the PowerPoint is always posted as well. If a student takes summer on-level classes, can he or she take the honor or AP class next semester? That's a very complicated question. I would encourage you to speak to your school counselor about that. Typically taking an on-level class, one, to get ahead for the purpose of taking an honor or AP next, that's typically not advised. That can put you in a situation, depending on the subject area and that kind of stuff, it can put you in a situation where you're not as well prepared because you're trying to cram in so much information over the summer and hopefully, qualifying for an honors class. I don't want to answer that, hard and fast like that, but
I was reading that differently, Ms. Blunt. I was thinking they mean the same course. If you did mean the same course, like an on-level on-level environmental science, and then take AP environmental science, that would be a no, because that is the same course essentially. So if it is the same course and you're attempting to take the on-level version and then come back and take the honors/AP version in the school year, we will not permit that.
Generally, talk to your school counselor. They will be able to tell you if this option makes sense. For what I'm interpreting it as, that's typically not a great option, because of course we want to make sure that our students have the knowledge base in the previous level course to be successful in the more difficult course in that same subject area. And then the last question that I'm seeing, and have no more questions coming through for the past 3 minutes, where can you find a listing of the online summer classes? Again, we will be sharing that information as soon as the county publishes it. Usually comes out from the county in early March. So as soon as it's out, expect an email from the counseling office pretty shortly after that. I would say probably, I don't know, within a week. And from that point on through the end of May, all summer school information, registration information, list of classes, all of that is always included in the Hooch Happenings biweekly email blast. And that's the last question for the past 4 minutes.
Wonderful. So again, we thank you all for joining us this evening. We're going to conclude this meeting. Please be on the lookout for the details regarding the scheduling process from Ms. Smith. Also, make sure you check for the online. That's the question that I see coming through. The online contract will be available starting next week. We will make announcements so that students can come into the counseling office and pick up an online contract to be able to turn it back in, complete it at their one-to-one meetings. Thank you all so much for your time. Have a wonderful evening.